All right. We got.
Show and Tell with Melanie Martinez.
Let's see what she got.
You ever did show and tell as a child?
No, thankfully. I have not. You?
No, either.
Yeah. It would have been one of those things, especially as a kid, I would have despised it. Like, I don't like shit like that. Like, especially when I was younger, I hated being in front of a class and having to present anything.
Yeah, same. What would you have shown?
That's a good question. At that mindset, it's hard to say no.
What would you do now?
If I did a show and tell now, that's a really good question. I'd have to brainstorm on that. How about you?
Mama.
I was thinking that too, just bring a dog. Show and tell. Or it have to be something I created. I don't know, something that have some type of meaning. So we got Melanie Martinez, show and tell.
You pull me by my hair so I don't go nowhere. Tell me you love me, but you treat me like I'm never there. You say the cruelest words, you just they break my heart. Cause I'm over here working my ass off. Why is it so hard to see? If I cut myself, I would bleed. I'm just like you're like me. Perfect and human are we? Show and tell. I'm on display for all you fuckers to see. Show and tell. Harsh words if you don't get a pick with.
Wow, like before I forget this, I love everything about this. The fact that she is this puppet and she's on the stage and she's being presented as the show and tell puppet. But if you think about it on like a larger scale, it's her as a singer, dancer, performer, in front of her audience. And like it's so like symbolic having, her being pulled by her strings, and that one line specifically saying like, if I cut myself, I bleed, like the literal cutting yourself and bleeding out, but also like cutting your strings and bleeding out.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting like to hear it, in both contexts, because she can't just cut herself off of the show and tell stage because I'm guessing she won't have money or something like that. Or she won't be able to, maybe like survive or something.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, because a lot of what she says, I mean, her whole album really is a double meaning, and there's a lot of metaphors in it where you can tell what she's talking about is very real in her actual world, and it's portrayed in this fictional world, but she incorporates a lot of truth and a lot of her personal experiences. So when you look at it here on a little scale, she's just a character in this classroom that's being exposed and manipulated. But I'm sure as an artist, it's not hard to feel like that in the real world as well.
Yeah.
And she's able to bring that to life as a fictional character, but also relates to her personal life. So it's just a great way of storytelling.
Yeah, like her ability to pull analogies from school and her real world or her career is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that, and I think you make an excellent point, like the way she can compare this girl in this classroom setting to, to her real world now, and find those connections and illustrate it in a way where it's clear and concise. Like, she does a really great job. And she's very artistic in the way she does it too.
Harsh words if you don't get a pick with me. But instead, like I'm a product of society.
She did like the Thriller dance. I think implying that she's like almost like dead inside or something like that. I don't know.
Like I'm a product of society. Don't say unless you fucked every authority. You beg and cry for more, yet I'm on the floor. There are strangers taking pictures of me when I ask no more. It's really hard for me to say just how I feel. I'm scared that I'll get blown away like.
Right, and this can easily represent, like, when you bring it back to our world, this can easily represent social media platforms or paparazzi, being that outsider and criticizing someone else's life, taking pictures of them, laughing at them when you don't even know what they're going through. You're not putting yourself in their shoes to try to get a deeper understanding. And yeah, she just does a great job kind of bringing it back to school, because obviously as children, we're the worst. You know, when we're adults, we're more discreet about the way we do things, and the way we make fun of people is definitely not the same as like when you're around children who are very straightforward. When they tease you to your face. They make fun of you directly. As opposed to adults, they're more, I guess I would say, like discreet and conniving, where like sometimes like they'll act like your best friend, but they're really not. We're obviously more political as we get older. We're smarter with the way we go about doing things. You can't do things the same way as when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you could be a straight tyrant. So I like that she uses the classroom to illustrate that.
To say just how I feel. I'm scared that I'll get blown away like a banana peel. Why is it so hard to see? If I cut myself, I would bleed. I'm just like you, you're like me. Imperfect and human are we. Show and tell. I'm on display for all you fuckers to see. Show and tell. Harsh words if you don't get a pick with me. But instead, like I'm a product of society. Don't say unless you fucked every authority. Show and tell. Why can't you fucking hear me? Show and tell. Are you listening yet? Show and tell. I'm on display for all you fuckers to see. Show and tell. Harsh words if you don't get a pick with me. Right instead, like I'm a product of society. Don't say unless you fucked every authority.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And I love the ending, because they're like, ew, gross, when they finally see within her, when they see her internally, which I think is symbolic for like her just being herself and being vulnerable.
Yo, like it's so fucking political, because that line where she says she doesn't sell unless she fucks everyone in the authority. And that is very self-explanatory, right? And you notice that when she's when she's on the stage, she's doing the same exact moves like over and over and over again. and the audience, they're just like eating it all up. But the minute that she stops or gets cut off or something like that, everyone's like, ew. And it makes me think about how people blindly follow like the most popular thing, or they quickly disregard like a celebrity or someone because they're no longer doing something.
Right.
I think that's so relevant in Hollywood. Makes me think about like the cancel culture. She literally got canceled when like she got gutted or something like that, and I think that's just symbolizing her being cut off. And you notice when she was dancing, she also had like a slit on her wrist, implying that like she's attempted suicide. I don't know if that's something that they've tried before, but I wouldn't be surprised if they showed that because of their previous experiences of doing that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, you can easily look at a story like Britney Spears, for instance, and see the correlation, right? Where she's being governed by this teacher, and that authority figure can be anybody, right? It could be the government, it can be your parent, it can be your manager, it can be anyone that has control or has taken control of your life or your financial situation in order to kind of lead you in a direction that you don't want to go, but you feel forced and you feel obligated to fulfill that responsibility or that role to the point where like it's driving you nuts. Like, and Britney Spears, I think, is a great example because she was not just manipulated, she was pretty much forced to do all of that, right? Everyone was getting paid off the hard work and the amount of time she put in making albums, going on tours, for her to not even see any of the money, really. Like, she wasn't really seeing anything, I think, if I remember
Literally
right.
a cash cow. Like,
Right,
it literally
exactly.
makes me think about like cows and how they're just the money maker and they don't benefit from it at all.
And yeah, and I think the cash cow is actually a perfect example because they milk you until they can't milk you anymore. And that's exactly what they do to a cow. And that's essentially what they would have done with Britney if she didn't get herself out of that situation. They probably would have milked her to the point where she couldn't dance or sing anymore, right? She was still able to perform, and I'm sure they would have took that as far as they could in order to just keep making money, I guess. And I'm sure there's more behind that, but yeah, it's really sad. And I think she does a good job showing that that's not a singular case. Like, I think that happens a lot. It's very prevalent. They're probably not covering every single story like that, but the bigger stories, you definitely see it come out.
And sometimes I wonder if a lot of people who go through that don't even see that it's happening to them,
Yeah, I think a part of it too is like they're also chasing something that they want. I think about being a celebrity, you're also chasing something that you really want. And then at some point, I think it becomes overwhelming, I would imagine.
And then that's it.
And then that's it.